Welcome, history enthusiasts. Today we dive into the sand-stained world of Roman gladiators, where they celebrated sports heroes free to chase glory, or trapped combatants fighting for their very lives and even basic rights. In this video, we'll uncover surprising archaeological finds, medical barracks built to heal warriors, tombstone inscriptions bearing their names, and debunk the myth of the free gladiator superstar. Get ready for a journey through ancient infirmaries, dusty arenas, and fierce battles for survival. Hit like, subscribe, and let's step into the Colosseum. The roar of 20,000 voices echoed off stone walls as the gates of the Colosseum swung open. Into the sunlight strode a man in full gladiatorial armor, crested helmet, plumed crest, heavy shield, and deadly gladius. To the cheering crowd he was a hero, a living symbol of Roman strength and spectacle. But behind that rush of excitement lay a far more complicated reality than our modern fantasies of free, wheeling athletes battling for glory. Archaeological excavations at sites like Pompeii, Carnuntum on the Danube frontier, and the Ludus Magnus in Rome have revealed attached infirmaries ludus valetudinaria, where injured fighters received expert medical care. In these purpose-built clinics, doctors wielded scalpels, set broken bones, and applied poultices to wounds that only days earlier had been carved by steel. A network of stone beds, bronze instruments, and even hot and cold plunge baths testify that lanistae understood the financial value of preserving a skilled fighter's body. A beaten gladiator might lose a match, but if properly healed, he could fight again and again, drawing audiences and profit. In Pompeii, stonemasons engraved tombstones with names like Marcus Atilius, master of the Retiarius, celebrating 20 victories, or Spiculus, whose skill won him the favor of Emperor Nero himself. These epitaphs were more than memorials. They were advertising. Graffiti scrawled on walls, "Festus the Thracian is unbeatable," and handbills posted on amphitheater entrances functioned like modern sports posters, proclaiming upcoming bouts and promising blood, drama, and chance. But these gladiators were rarely free citizens staking their reputations on performance. The majority were slaves, prisoners of war, or condemned criminals who swore a sacred oath binding them to the school and to fight until death or manumission. The myth of the gladiator as a free athlete, casually choosing the life of the arena, is a modern projection. Roman legal texts show that a citizen who volunteered for the gladiatorial oath was branded as infamous, a person stripped of many civic rights. While a handful of volunteers did seek the prize money, such men were exceptions. Most aristocrats viewed the profession as deeply dishonorable. Instead, lanistae recruited young men sold by desperate families or purchased captives from the provinces. These men trained under brutal discipline, lashings for disobedience, cramped barracks, and diets strictly monitored for lean but powerful physiques. Grave inscriptions sometimes record a gladiator's final wish for missio, release from the lance, and the net, a rare mercy granted only after repeated victories or at the whim of the editor and the emperor. The modern impulse to equate gladiators with today's celebrities overlooks the rigid hierarchy that governed their lives. Behind every famed champion like Carpiferus, the beast slayer, stood a lanistae who profited from wagers and gate receipts. The triumph of a gladiator was the triumph of the school, the sponsor, and the political figure who bankrolled the games. Emperors such as Julius Caesar, Augustus, and Trajan staged lavish spectacles to curry public favor. Weeks, long festivals featuring exotic animals, chariot races, and gladiatorial combat. Newspapers did not exist, but official announcements inscribed on marble and wood spread word of games across the empire, ensuring that every province knew of Rome's munificence and power. Yet those same inscriptions sometimes reveal another side of gladiatorial life, appeals to mercy and early advocacy for rights. A faded graffito in Pompeii begs Spiculus spare the life of Titus, an echo of modern fan petitions. Freedom, when granted, came with strings attached. A freed gladiator received the coveted wooden sword as proof of his manumission, but remained forever associated with his former role. Legal statutes barred him from holding public office or serving in the legions. His celebrity could attract patronage or marriage prospects, but it could not erase the stigma of the arena. In medicine, the presence of valetudinaria foreshadows modern sports rehabilitation centers. Wooden tablets from carnuntum list treatments, herb poultices, oil massages, bloodletting charged to the lanistae's account. Gladiators were not left to bleed out in the sand. They were valuable investments. The interplay of brutality and care defies simple classification. Soldiers and slaves one day, prize performers the next, their body armor as precious as any chariot or marble column. To understand the gladiators' place in Roman society, one must examine the spaces they inhabited. Recent digs beneath the Colosseum have mapped the hypogeum, the labyrinth of underground cages, pulleys, and trapdoors that made surprise appearances of wild beasts and fighters possible. This engineering marvel required coordination among hundreds. Carpenters rigged wooden platforms, animal handlers prepared cages, and stagehands orchestrated the emergent drama. The spectacle was not spontaneous combat but meticulously choreographed theater. Gladiators were both actors and athletes, playing roles shaped by tradition, audience expectations, and imperial propaganda. Inscriptions painted on amphitheater walls advertised the editor, often a local magistrate or wealthy sponsor who footed the bill. The more lavish the games, the higher the sponsor's prestige. In this respect, gladiators were tools of political theater. Their battles dramatized Rome's martial virtues, courage, endurance, and the subjugation of enemies. Yet beneath these grand narratives, individual men fought for survival, wagering their lives on the chance that mercy or missio might be extended by a thumbs up from the crowd or a signal from the editor. Mithraic and Christian moralists condemned the games. Seneca, writing in the 1st century CE, criticized Roman bloodlust. The crowd cheers for death. Does the crime of these men differ from that of the beasts they slay? Early Christian writers decried the arena as a den of satanic violence. By the late 4th and early 5th centuries, decrees by Honorius and Theodosius attempted to curtail gladiatorial combat, deeming it inconsistent with Christian values. Yet provincial arenas such as those in Carthage and Antioch continued to host fights into the 5th century, revealing the resilience of popular demand even in the face of official bans. For all the bloodshed, gladiators sometimes found genuine camaraderie. Barracks unearthed at Carnuntum show communal dining rooms and common sleeping quarters, where fighters forged bonds that transcended origin Thracian or Gaul, Iberian, or North African. Shared hardships, shared triumphs, and shared injuries bound them together. Carbon isotope analysis of skeletons from gladiator cemeteries reveals diverse diets rich in proteins to build muscle and biomarkers indicating heavy exercise regimens. The wear patterns on their bones record hundreds of thrusts, parries, and blow-silent testimony to lives spent training for combat. The myth of an easy path to stardom evaporates against these realities. Only a handful of gladiators achieved lasting fame, and their names Faustus, Flamma, Verus survived mainly through poetic references or Stoic epitaphs. A victory did not guarantee freedom but could earn you favor, more lucrative bouts, and a chance at retirement. Yet many fighters perished young, their graves unadorned, their names lost to time. Modern parallels to athlete rights movements are tempting but flawed. Today's sports stars negotiate contracts, hold union representation, and enjoy legal protections. Gladiators, by contrast, had no collective bargaining. Their only appeal was to the mercy of a crowd or the caprice of an editor. Uprisings, such as the famous revolt led by Spartacus in 7-3, before Common Era underscore their desperation but also their lack of legitimate channels to press for better conditions. Spartacus's rebellion, though momentarily triumphant, ended in massacre and brutal deterrence, reinforcing the system it challenged. Despite the end of gladiatorial games in the mid-5th century CE, their legacy endures in art, literature, and modern spectacle. Renaissance pageants revived classical iconography of the arena. 19th century excavations at the Colosseum spurred romantic paintings of heroism and slaughter. In film, the gladiator is reimagined as a free spirit, a wronged general turned fighter for justice. These stories resonate, but they simplify a complex institution where power, performance, and profit intertwined. Archaeologists continue to unearth new evidence. Recently discovered graffiti near the amphitheater of Capua naming fighters, or restored medical instruments that confirm advanced battlefield care. Each find sharpens our picture of a profession defined by contradiction, slavery and autonomy, brutality and medical care, fame and exploitation. As viewers, we must recognize that the real drama lay neither in Hollywood spectacle nor in sanitized myth, but in the lived experiences of those who trained, bled, and died for an empire's appetite. Their courage and endurance won admiration, but their freedom remained perpetually on the line. In the end, Roman gladiators were neither mere sports stars nor proto-civil rights activists. They were professionals, however coerced, whose bodies became commodities in a spectacular economy of death and redemption. Their story challenges us to question our own spectacles. What lines are we willing to cross for entertainment, and how do we honor those whose lives power our collective fantasies?